mich lieb hast, Kindchen, schenk ich dir die Blumen all. Und vor deinem Fenster soll klingen das Lied der Nachtigall.
Good morning. I'm Reverend John Lou Johnstone, your co-lead interim minister for reflection and development. Yes, that's who I am. A special welcome to our children this morning because they are going to be with us through the whole service. Old, young, or middle-aged, we are glad you are with us. Whether here in the sanctuary or online. It's especially good to see you since you all remembered to change your clocks, or your cell phones just did it automatically and you said, oh, whoa. But we're glad you're here. If you're new to us, please fill out a visitor card either online at austinuu.org or the card that should be in front of you in the pew. Or I guess they are pews. We are a spiritual community dedicated to a free and responsible search for truth, meaning, and beauty. And this morning we continue our exploration of vulnerability. Last week's service struck some of you deeply. Today we will invite some self-examination, but not at the same depth. Still feelings may be stirred. Please know that your ministerial team is always available to help process anything that comes up for you, especially in response to a service. Take care of yourself, and today I hope you'll have some fun. If you're online, let us know where you are this morning, and if you're in person, please join us after the service for coffee and conversation in House and Hall. Now, recognizing the divine spark in each person, give greetings to one another. And if you're up for it, try to say hello to someone you don't know. It's come to our attention that the order of service with the QR code is just now been fixed.
Good morning. My name is Chanel Shackelford. My pronouns are they, them, and I will be your lay leader for today. Please join me in the words for lighting the chalice. This is the flame we hold in our hearts as we strive for justice for everyone. This is the light we shine upon systems of oppression until they are no more. This is the warmth that we share with one another as our struggle becomes our salvation. Our call to worship this morning comes from the Book of Life by Roddy Bell Shelton Biggs, whose pronouns are they, them. Roddy identifies as Black and queer and prefers to use lowercase letters on their name. Open the Book of Life. What do you see as you flip through the pages, soaking it all up? Where is the joy, the pain, the hope, the loss, the love? Now close it tight, place your hand over your heart and pause. Then open the Book of Life again. Pause once more. Remember, beloved, be vulnerable and begin again in love. Come, let us worship together. We'll be singing hymn number 1053 today, How Could Anyone by Libby Roderick. I invite you, as you sing for the first time, to just feel the words. For the second verse, sing it as if you're singing it to yourself. And for the third time, sing it for someone who you love.
The mission of this congregation was developed by the members of this congregation, and it was printed on the wall. Each week we say it to remind ourselves of it and to imprint it in our hearts. Let's join together in saying it now. Together we nourish souls, transform lives, and do justice to build the beloved community. The mission of this congregation tells us what we are trying to accomplish. The covenant of healthy relations tells us how we try to be together. Unitarian Universalism is a covenantal religion. That is, we agree on the promises we make to one another rather than on what we believe. We walk together, though thinking differently. And that's complicated because it means we do not expect to always agree, but trust that if we express our personal points of view, we will find a way through together. And we have a team that helps us to do that, that pays attention to how we are together and guides and reminds us of our promises. Through the pandemic, the team dispersed. Now we are reactivating that team, and this morning we will commission them. So I invite forward Margaret Borden, Julie Pache, and Tomas Medina. Margaret is the bridge between the old Healthy Relations team and the new one, and will tell us how the covenant of this church came to be.
In 2010, First UU, following a difficult and divisive time, worked with a transition team to develop our Healthy Relations Covenant. Everyone in the church was asked to write down 3 promises we were willing to make to others, and 3 promises we wanted others to make to us. That team took these many, many notes, and with much time, love, and wordsmithing, created the covenant we used for the next 3 years. In 2013, the covenant was streamlined and aligned with our newly created mission and goals, and is now read at the beginning of our congregational meetings. The Healthy Relations team continued to promote the covenant primarily with Dear Covenant articles in the church's newsletter. People could write for advice about how to act in light of our covenant's promises. The pandemic, as John Lou said, took a toll, as it has in so many areas of church life. Now the team is being brought back into action. Watch for us in the newsletter or stop us when you see us at church with any questions.
So, Margaret, Julie, Tomas, as the Healthy Relations team, you are entrusted by the members of the congregation to keep the interests of the church foremost, while listening to the needs and desires expressed by individuals. We charge you to help the community to remember the covenant, to remain in covenant, and to restore covenant when it is broken. Do you accept this charge?
We do.
Congregation, beloveds, Margaret, Julie, and Tomas have expressed their willingness to embrace this significant task. Do you agree to support them and to strive to carry out the covenant in all you do in this church? If so, please say, "We do." We do. Healthy Relations team, you are commissioned. Thank you for your open hearts. Thank you for your open hearts and firm commitments. But we need to read the covenant together, don't we?
Sure do.
Tomas.
Let's do it. So please join me in reading our Covenant of Healthy Relations, which I hope is on the thing, and it's not.
Slide? Yes.
Awesome. Okay. As a religious community, we promise to welcome and serve by being intentionally hospitable to all people of goodwill, by being present with one another through life's transition, by encouraging the spiritual growth of people of all ages, to nurture and protect, by communicating with one another directly in a spirit of compassion and goodwill, by speaking when silence would inhibit progress, by disagreeing from a place of curiosity and respect, by interrupting hurtful interactions when we witness them, by expressing our appreciation to each other, to sustain and build, by affirming our gratitude with generous gifts of time, talent, and money for our beloved community, by honoring our commitments to ourselves and one another for the sake of our own integrity and that of our congregation, by forgiving ourselves and others when we fall short of expectations, showing good humor and optimism required for moving forward. Thus do we covenant with one another. Thank you.
And Julie, what's next?
So our next steps, we would like to get your input and feedback on the Covenant of Healthy Relations, especially in light of the 8th principle, which this congregation adopted last year. So we will be at a table in House and Hall this Sunday and the following 2 Sundays in March, the 19th and the 26th. We'll have copies of the covenant and the 8th principle, and we invite you to stop by to review and provide your feedback and your suggestions. And also, please know that each of us are available if you have any questions or you need any help navigating a situation. Feel free to talk to any one of us, and also the ministers are always available too. So in the future, we will have articles in the weekly newsletter. Margaret mentioned those earlier, so please keep an eye out for those as well. Thank you very much.
I'm so grateful to this team for their commitment to this task, for their open hearts. So, Eric Hepburn will now introduce you to our monthly service offering recipient.
I just have to thank John Lou for remembering that I'm supposed to talk today, because it's not in the order of service, so I was in my pew panicking. All right, so we're going to start with something a little unorthodox this morning. We're going to do a call and response, and we're taking this call and response from someone who I respect a great deal, Trevor Noah. And it's called, Ain't Nobody Got Time for That. So I'm going to say something. It might be something a little triggering, and when I do this, y'all are going to respond. Ain't nobody got time. Yeah. So here we go. I wish I had time this morning to tell you about the ancestors you've invoked and the burden you have agreed to shoulder when you put the words beloved community on your wall, but I'd love to share with you all the things I learned when I spent an evening with Ta-Nehisi Coates and Pam Owens and our own beloved Chaz Moore, but I would love to tell you about the disparate health impacts that Black Americans continue to suffer in this country that we all share. But I'd like to tell you about the continually increasing wage disparity and wealth disparity that plagues this country. But I'd like to talk to you at great length about the politics of racial distraction that allow us to continue to have a huge disparity of wealth between most people and the 1%, but ain't nobody got time for that. I'd love to talk to you in a 3-part sermon series about how microaggressions and mistrust continue to create, sustain, and support systems of oppression. But I want to tell you who makes time, and that's Austin Justice Coalition. Can we roll the clip?
This case means a lot to a lot of folks in the neighborhood who are waiting, who have called in to testify, who have showed up in person, who took their Tuesday night off to be here. And to postpone this case means to send everyone home who is ready to testify, who cares deeply about this case. So I ask you to please, 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 out of respect for everyone's time, and out of respect for this community, and out of a sense of genuine urgency for the lives of the people who are on the street right now, let's hear this case tonight. Thank you.
I'm just at a point to where I am. I'm quite fatigued when these type of conversations come up. Like we live in a city where when folks are on the street camping, we said ill and gross, and we said, oh, we need housing because we couldn't stand to look at these people that were sleeping on the street. Now that we have a place where we can build permanent supportive housing, now we have people saying, oh, not here, right? Like this whole not in my backyard thing, and it's very interesting to me that when we talk about neighborhood preservation, there are only certain neighborhoods in certain zip codes with certain demographics that get that right, that get that privilege.
Austin Justice Coalition shows up every hour, every day, every week, every month in this community at planning hearings and other boring stuff that. So I ask you to be generous in your donation today to Austin Justice Coalition because they are showing up every day to keep the promise of beloved community moving forward. Thank you.
Die Rose, die Lilie, die Taube, die Sonne, die liegt dich einst alle in Liebeswohnen. Ich lieb sie nicht mehr, ich liebe alleine die Kleine, die Feine, die Reine, die eine. Sie selber aller Liebe wohnen, ist Rose und Lilie und Taube und Sonne. Ich liebe alleine die Kleine, die Feine, die Reine, die eine, die eine.
morning. As the baskets keep going around for our collection, I'd like to invite the children up to hear the story today. You can come right up to the front. Can you hear me? Is that better? Okay. As the basket keeps going around for the collection, I'd like to invite the children up to the front to hear the story and get the best view of the pictures. Come on up. Today we're reading The Empty Pot by Demi. Did anybody notice the bluebonnets outside today? There's so many beautiful bluebonnets at this time of year, and they make me so happy. Do they make you happy when you see them? Yes? Do you think that if the bluebonnets were there all year long, we would still think they were as special as we do? Some people might, and some people might not, right? What about the beautiful green grass that's underneath the bluebonnets, that's there all year long, beautifully shining its bright greenness? Or do we think that's kind of special, or do we just kind of not notice it? Kind of not notice it, right? So sometimes things are really special because they're not there all the time. Sometimes the flowers don't bloom, and then when they do, we pay extra special attention and we say, wow, the bluebonnets are amazing. So today we're going to read a story about flowers. This is The Empty Pot. I'm going to scooch so you can see better. This is The Empty Pot by Demi. A long time ago in China, there was a boy named Ping. Can you see him there? He's kind of tiny. Who loved flowers. Raise your hand if you love flowers. Anything he planted burst into bloom. Up came flowers, bushes, and even big fruit trees, as if by magic. Everyone in the kingdom loved flowers too. They planted them everywhere, and the air smelled like perfume. The emperor, what's an emperor? Thank you. That was excellent. That's sort of like a leader back in Chinese medieval times. Thank you. The emperor loved birds and animals, but flowers most of all, and he tended his own garden every day. But the emperor was very old. He needed to choose a successor to the throne. What does that mean? Yeah, someone to be the next emperor. Who would his successor be? And how would the emperor choose? Because the emperor loved flowers so much, he decided to let the flowers choose. The next day, a proclamation was issued. All the children in the land were to come to the palace. There they would be given special flower seeds by the emperor. Whoever can show me their best in a year's time, he said, will succeed me to the throne. Would you like to see some flower seeds? Here's some flower seeds. Would you like one? Why doesn't everybody take one, and then you can be looking at it while we're reading and thinking about the flowers that might grow from a seed like this. Would you like one, Sarah? Would you like one? Will you pass? Well, no? That's okay. When Ping received his seed from the emperor, he was the happiest child of all. He was sure he could grow the most beautiful flower. Ping filled a flower pot with rich soil. He planted the seed in it very carefully. He watered it every day. He couldn't wait to see it sprout, grow, and blossom into a beautiful flower. Look at your seeds. Do you think they're going to sprout and blossom and grow into beautiful flowers? Do they look like much now?
They're not going to do that in hand.
Not in your hand. They would need soil, right? Yeah. Day after day passed, but nothing grew in his pot. Sarah, Ping was very worried. He put new soil into a bigger pot. Then he transferred the seed into the rich black soil. Another 2 months he waited. Still, nothing happened. By and by, the whole year passed. Spring came, and all the children put on their best clothes to greet the emperor. They rushed to the palace with their beautiful flowers, eagerly hoping to be chosen. Ping was ashamed of his empty pot. He thought the other children would laugh at him because for once he couldn't get a flower to grow. Yeah. It is sad. Have you ever felt like that? Ashamed because of something you couldn't do? His clever friend ran by holding a great big plant. "Ping," he said, "you're not really going to the emperor with an empty pot, are you? Couldn't you grow a great big flower like mine?" "I've grown lots of flowers better than yours," Ping said. "It's just this seed that won't grow." Ping's father overheard and said, "You did your best, and your best is good enough to present to the emperor." Holding the empty pot in his hands, Ping went straight away to the palace. The emperor was looking at the flowers slowly, one by one. How beautiful all the flowers were. Can you spot Ping? Can you see him up there? But the emperor was frowning and did not say a word. Why would he be frowning if he loved flowers so much? Finally, he came to Ping. Ping hung his head in shame, expecting to be punished. The emperor asked him, "Why did you bring an empty pot?" Ping started to cry and replied, I planted the seed you gave me, and I watered it every day, but it didn't sprout. I put it in a better pot with better soil, but still it didn't sprout. I tended it all year long, but nothing grew. So today I had to bring an empty pot without a flower. It was the best I could do." When the emperor heard these words, a smile slowly spread over his face, and he put his arm around Ping. Then he exclaimed to one and all, "I have found him. I have found the one person worthy of being emperor." Where you all got your seeds from, I do not know, for the seeds I gave you had all been cooked, so it was impossible for any of them to grow. They were cheating. That's right. I admire Ping's great courage to appear before me with the empty truth, and now I reward him with my entire kingdom and make him emperor of all the land. No, he's the emperor. Isn't that fun? So today, we're going to stay. We get to listen to Reverend John Alu's sermon today. We're going to stay in here, so we're not going to go plant these seeds today, but next week in our class, we're going to take even more flower seeds and plant them in our big flower beds on the playground. Will you come and do that with me next week? Maybe? That's okay. And so today we're going to go back to our seats, and if you need any more books or any more fidgets or anything like that, they're right outside the doors. You can go grab them when you go back to your seat. Okay?
Our centering words this morning come from UU Minister Don Sky Cooley. Your reply is printed in your order of service and maybe on a slide? Well, it's easy. The reply is easy. We let go of who we ought to be and embrace who we are. We let go of who we ought to be and embrace who we are. Because there have been times when shame has crushed our ability to be wholehearted. Because we have not always had the courage to be imperfect. because we have struggled to have compassion for ourselves or others. Because we have been afraid of our own vulnerability. Because we are sometimes too scared to live authentically. Because we want to be wholehearted people, confident in our worthiness and belonging. I want to name a specific concern this morning. Reverend Chris Jimerson has been ill, and we want to keep him in our mind and our hearts as we remember all of our joys and sorrows. And the joys and sorrows of our hearts inspire us to light candles along either of these walls. I invite you now to do that.
Wenn ich in deine Augen seh, so schwindet all mein Leid und Weh. Doch wenn ich küsse deinen Mund, so werd ich ganz und gar gesund. Wenn ich mich lehn an deine Brust, kommt über mich wie Himmelslust. Doch wenn du sprichst, ich liebe dich, so muss ich weinen bitterlich.
Our reading this morning is Acknowledgement of Limitations, and it's by Burton D. Carley. I wonder if the river ever despairs of its downward destiny and harbors a secret desire to flow uphill. I wonder if winter yearns to be summer, or if a flower wishes it could bloom out of season. I wonder if silence would like to shout, or if the sky wants to fall down and become the earth. I wonder if the bird longs to become a rabbit, or if the fish ever dreams of walking on the land. I wonder if the mountains envy the valleys, or if snow secretly covets the warmth of June. I wonder if the moon complains that it is not the sun, or if the stars envy the earth. I wonder if rain prefers a cloudless sky, or if grass tires of green and hopes for blue. I wonder if spring really likes growing, or if fall rages against its colorful dying. I wonder if the world ever sighs after more than it is, like you and I, like you and I. O Spirit of life, we struggle against our limitations. Teach us to accept them. Amen.
In our optimistic UU way, we like to say you can do anything you set your mind to. It's not always true. There are some things you can't do. Let's watch a short video about what our bodies can't do.
The human body can run, jump, climb, swim, spin, flip and roll, but there are some things that are impossible for people to do. Here are 10 things you can't do with your body. Brilliant news! Number 1, licking your elbow. This is impossible unless you have a very long tongue or short upper arms. Even though there are tutorials of how to do it out there, very few people can. Didn't stop you trying though, did it? Number 2, sneezing with your eyes open. Closing your eyes is a reflex response to sneezing. Many doctors believe it's because the body senses an irritant in the nasal cavity and attempts to protect your eyes from further irritants. Number 3, swallowing 3 times in a row. Just try it now. Once, twice, 3 times impossible. Number 4, wiggle your ears. Only around 1 in 10 people can wiggle their ears. This is because unlike other facial muscles, the ear muscles actually have their own control area in the brainstem. In order to wiggle your ears, you have to be able to or learn to access this area. Number 5, twitching nose. Very few people can do this, but it is possible to learn. It involves finding which muscles control the movement and then practicing to dominate that movement. Once achieved, all your wishes will come true. Number 6, gleeking. Gleeking is the ability to project saliva from the submandibular gland by compressing it with the tongue. Whilst most people have done this by accident whilst in a conversation, very few people can do it on demand. Number 7, tongue tricks. Around 70% of people can roll their tongue, but the ability to do other tricks is a lot less common. The 360-degree turn, the 1, 2, 3 and 4 leaf clover, or the wave are a few of these. Number 8, self-tickling. A lot of people are ticklish, but no matter how ticklish you are, you can't tickle yourself. This is because your brain can predict what will be felt before it is felt. When someone else tickles you, the brain has no idea what is about to happen, and this surprising stimulus intensifies the feeling. Number 9, touch your nose with your tongue. Gorlin sign is the ability to touch the tip of your nose with your tongue. People who can do this either have a long tongue or a long nose, a short upper lip, or suffer from the inherent connective tissue disorder Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Number 10, flexibility. While some of us have trouble just getting out of bed, others can raise their legs to their heads or even dislocate joints at will. Extreme flexibility or contortionism is a rare ability that requires years of training to master. Can you do anything weird with your body? Comment below.
So all this is kind of fun to see what we can do, how our body is limited. And there's other stuff we can't do that is not so much fun. And admitting some of those falls into that category of vulnerability, our theme for the month. Okay, confession time. In my freshman year of college, I failed 4 classes: calculus, philosophy, organic chemistry, and I think it was some kind of history. I can't even really remember, probably because I didn't go to class often enough. So this is going to be a little bit of an interaction sermon. I'm going to ask you for your confessions as well. Totally voluntary, of course. I'm going to ask you to stand up or wave your arm overhead if you can agree with this statement. I tried something and failed. Look around. It helps to know that we are not alone in this, doesn't it? What would it be like to own up to what you have failed at? You don't have to do it. I'm just asking, what would it be like? Does it make you feel uneasy? A little queasiness in the pit of the stomach? Do you want to present it as funny so it doesn't hurt so much? I do. It's hard to acknowledge our failures. I could give you a whole list of ways I've fallen short. I didn't learn to ride a bicycle until I was 10 because I gave up when I was 6 or 7, and so did my parents. I got a D in driver's ed. I have such a poor sense of direction that pre-GPS, I got lost going to many important places: a wedding rehearsal, a funeral, the airport. Not to mention being lost in the wilderness. I've done that too. I've fallen down a rock face while rock climbing. I've broken bones. I've failed tests, job interviews, event organizing. I've had manuscripts rejected, missed deadlines, lost money on stupid decisions. I have failed to reach goals I set. So many bad memories. Yet I'm also glad I've had failure as part of my life. It has made me less afraid to try things because I know that if I fail, if I can't do it, I'll live through it, probably. Failure has made me vulnerable, which I really needed to learn because I prefer to present myself as perfect. Failure has taught me what works by teaching me what didn't work and introduced me to my limitations. Failure has helped me learn to ask for help. Now, it is true that for some people, asking for help or being vulnerable may have a higher cost. You may need to be more cautious about who you ask for help or when you open yourself vulnerably. And that's all real, based in part on the identities we carry in this world and in how we process our feelings. So I'm not saying that everyone needs to confess all their failings. There are certainly some I will keep to myself. But I want to challenge you, if you're willing, to do a little bit of vulnerability around what you can and cannot do. So I invite you to stand up or wave your arm if you can agree to some of these statements. I can't reach the top shelf without standing on something. I can't walk walk as far or run as fast as I used to. I can't drive. I can't stay organized. I can't get up early in the morning. I can't dance. I can't get along with some people in my family. I can't always tell what I'm feeling. I can't always handle everything. Some things we can't do are easy to admit, and others are a lot harder. Almost all of them, though, are things that other people have struggled with too. And that's why people gather around their failures and frailties, reasons that it's why there's 12-step groups to help people cope with the challenges of alcoholism and other addictions. It's why there are grief groups. It's why there are parent support groups. We need one another at a deep and profound level. We need to see others dealing with what is confronting us and see the successes and failures so that we have some idea what we might be able to do. So here's another statement that I invite you to raise your hand to if you agree. It's hard for me to ask for help. So you're not alone. Here's one more. I try to help when someone asks. Now there's a little disconnect here. Most of us are fine with helping out, and a lot of us find it hard to ask. Some of the fault lies in lies, we have been told, well-meaning lies, but lies nonetheless. Our culture is individualistic. Many people expect themselves and others to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, whatever that means. And the phrase originally meant that what was asked was impossible. No one can pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Their bootstraps are near the ground. They're not up, they're down here. It was sarcasm, folks, not wisdom. You can't pull yourself up by your bootstraps. No one else can either. The individualism of our culture has hurt us more than helped us. And our religion, Unitarian Universalism, has fed into it. The picturesque cabin Thoreau built at Walden Pond, Emerson's essay on self-reliance, the long lists of individual Unitarians, Universalists, and Unitarian Universalists who have achieved so much. Now, the lie is that they did it all alone. Thoreau was close to town and had plenty of support. Emerson had whole crowds of admirers and co-conspirators. Even if someone's work has been done alone, they built on ideas, education, resources that they got from someone else. As John Donne told us, no man is an island, and neither is any woman or transgender person. No one is an island. Maybe then we need some help in asking for help. So here are some useful phrases. Repeat after me. Could you please help me? I don't know what to do. Here's what I need. A lot of times it can be useful to tell someone why we need help and exactly what we need. And sometimes all we can do is say, help! And here's the amazing thing. We don't have to wait until we're desperate to ask for help. Maybe you could ask someone to come with you when you go shopping for clothes to help you pick out something that looks good on you. Or you could ask for someone to help you walk the dog or study together. Practicing in those small situations might even help us ask for help in those harder situations where we're a little more desperate and maybe can't even name what we need. I want you to take a moment and think of who you could ask for help. You might think of a particular situation where you might need help. If you broke something, if you were sick, if you were sad and needed someone to talk to, if you didn't understand what something meant. I want you to try to come up with 5 people you could ask for help. Maybe different people for different situations. Just take a moment now and think. So I'm going to encourage you to talk later with somebody about who those people you could ask for help were. Maybe you could even talk to those people you thought of and said, you know, I was thinking of who I could ask for help and I thought of you. Is that okay? And I'll bet you almost everybody will say, yes, absolutely. You've heard of the little engine that could, that train engine that huffed and puffed and all the way up the hill. There's a pastor named Julian de Chazier who wrote an article about church and ministers that was called The Little Engine That Needed Collaborators. His point was about over-functioning clergy and the need for everyone in the church to share the load, but the point has a broader application. And similarly, as a volunteer working many years ago with a women's group, I had a supervisor who always sent 2 of us to do any task. And some of them were pretty hard tasks. I mean, we were pounding in stakes, clearing fields, greasing wheelchair lifts. And she used to say, 1 woman can't do anything. 2 women can do anything. And while it might be possible for 1 woman to do something, I've learned that often it's a lot more fun and a heck of a lot easier if there are 2 or more working on it. We need one another, especially when we can't do it alone. I invite you to join in singing hymn number 6 in the gray hymnal, Yes to Life. Please rise in body or spirit.
Anybody have a great hymnal for me? I don't think I have this. Oh, thank you so much. Just as long as I'm dressed? Ah, okay, no, I didn't. Yes, okay.
let there now be an offering taken to sustain the mission and ministries of this church. If you are with us online, go to austinuu.org where will see a link to our secure contributions page on the top right-hand side of the page. You may also text your contribution to 84321. And if you're here with us in person, the ushers will now collect our offering.
Ich will meine Seele tauchen in den Kelch der Lilie hinein. Die Lilie soll klingend hauchen, ein Lied von der Liebsten mein. Das Lied soll schauen und beben, wie der Kuss von ihrem Mund, den sie mir einst gegeben im wunderbar süßen Stund. Im Reim, im heiligen Strome, da spiegelt sich in den Wellen mit seinem großen Dome das große heilige Köln. Im Dom, da steht ein Bildnis auf goldenem Leder gemalt. In meines Lebens Wildnis hat's freundlich hineingestrahlt. Es unsere liebe Frau, die Augen, die Lippen, die Wänglein, die gleichen der Liebsten genau.
Thank you for your gifts. And now some opportunities. We commissioned the Healthy Relations team this morning, and I wanted to draw to your attention a couple of opportunities for learning some skills of talking together that will help staying in covenant. There'll be a nonviolent communication practice group beginning March 26th. No previous experience necessary. And on March 25th, there'll be a workshop on bridging the divide, and there are some handouts outside that give you some details. Following the service this morning at 12:30 in room 13, members of First UU Cares and I will be meeting with anyone interested for a conversation about caring in the church. Even if you're not registered, feel free to attend or register for Thursday's online conversation. And there is a grief group forming, so let one of the ministers know if you're interested. And finally, there is a card for Reverend Chris that's on the table in front of the window to the left as you're headed toward the gallery if people want to sign it.
Please join me in the words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we hold in our hearts until we are together again.
Go in peace, knowing that every imperfection, every failure, every vulnerability is part of you. Love every bit of yourself so that you can be loved completely by others. And when you need others, please ask them for help, because we are only whole as a community when our interactions and relationships make us so. Amen, ashe, and blessed be.
Strahl